Hey everybody, it's your old pal Chuck, and I am back with another review. And today, continuing our look at the Transformers Studio Series 86 line, we are looking at Blurr. Now, in previous reviews, I've done little homages to the various voice actors that brought these characters to life. And Blurr is very iconic because it was voiced by the legendary John Machida. I hope I'm pronouncing that name right. Most of you probably know him as the Micro Machines guy. I remember him as the guy from the FedEx commercials. Oh, excuse me, Federal Express. By the way, if you're wondering what happened to Federal Express, FedEx. I learned that much later in life than I should have, and my dad was not pleased when he had to basically explain that to me. But as many of you know, John Machida was in the Guinness Book of World Records as a fast talker, like lightning fast. Now, I was contemplating doing this review, talking really fast like he could, and I realized that knowing my luck, I'd end up lacerating my tongue. So we're just going to go normal and easy. So we're starting off in robot mode. And Blurr actually comes with a really sweet looking laser rifle. I gotta say, this is one of the best Transformer accessories I've seen in a while. I mean, that's really nice, very close to what Blurr used in the film. And it also has a second accessory, which I was able to store right here on the back. This actually is where it would go in vehicle mode, and it's a little pagan hand welder, and I guess you can put it on either hand, and this is just slides over the hand entirely, so it looks like it comes out of the wrist. And I guess this is to recreate a scene where it's repairing damage from the Decepticon attack on Autobot City. So that's nice, and we'll take a little bit more look at it in vehicle mode. Uh-oh. Oh, God. It goes in there tight when we get into vehicle mode. Now, in terms of being able to store the blaster, I think you can as well. Just shove it. There's like the tab is right there, and yeah, it works, sort of. I mean, you're going to have it dangling down, so jokes. But yeah, I mean, it is a possibility. But other than that, we have to talk about the elephant in the room, and that's the giant forearm sections here on Blurr. Unfortunately, I mean, they're not as bad in person, but they're not wonderful. And I think in that regard, the Takara Legends Headmaster version, the Hasbro Titans Return version, really handled this a little bit better. Another nice touch is, I'm not sure if this is picking it up, but there is a little bit of light piping here, but it's blue, so it's a little dark and, may not be coming through, but it is very nice, especially when you get that direct light going right over it. But in terms of articulation, you do have a lateral arm movement here, and again, you do have some little molded detailing to cover up the gapping, and ratchets here in the shoulders. Ball-jointed head, but it's a little bit limited due to the sculpt of the head. Universal joints at the hips, single joint at the knee, and a little bit of a rotation there at the upper hip. I wouldn't say overall the joints feel a touch loose, but nothing too bad. You, of course, have ankle pivot and a little bit of, working back and forth. But other than that, I think the figure looks great. Basically, if you were to take the Takara Legends Headmasters version in this, it would be close, but I think overall this looks better in terms of the animation design. Another little bit of disappointment is this back section isn't removable. I would have liked to have had that removable just so we could have had Blurr's shield, but didn't use it in the movie, not getting used here. So yeah, we might as well just go ahead and get into the transformation. Now, unlike other Studio Series reviews, I've decided to start in robot mode because there's a couple points of the transformation that going from robot to vehicle that are a little and I don't think the instructions do as good of a job explaining them. First thing you want to do is unpeg the whole backpack section, bring it up over the head, and it's just going to swing over like that. Next thing you're going to do is grab the chest, rotate it around, and just like that. So it's now, the Autobot logo is now facing towards the tip of the front of the what will be the front of the vehicle. Next, reach in here with your fingernail and bring up that panel. That'll form a little seat, and you might knock that panel back down during the transformation. It's okay. Now, the first point of issue, I would say, with the instructions and the transformation has to do with the arms. What you want to do is come around the back, open up these panels for the fist coverings, and then rotate this around, and then close the fist coverings and bring the arm up. Do it again on this side. If you notice, I just almost closed that waist covering. Now, the instructions show that there is a rotation here. You almost want to rotate it at the bicep. You don't. What you want to do is rotate it at this front canopy piece. It's basically only goes one way, and you're rotating the hand around. And you need to only rotate that front piece, because when it comes to finishing the vehicle mode, there are slots here for some tabs that will peg in. I screwed that up, so yeah, just be aware of that. Next, what you want to do is open up the front of the legs, just like so. They do peg in quite securely. And then come around to this side, and what you're going to do is flip up what will be the tail fin. And I would recommend at this point bringing the legs together. And it's a little tricky because there's like a peg and a hole, but then a slot and a tab. And ultimately, what you're going to end up wanting to do is try to hook the slide the tab over the slot and then peg the hole together, and that will give you a nice firm connection. And don't worry if like things flop around. This comes together very solidly in vehicle mode. Rotate the feet so they're facing out just like that, and then go ahead and fold up the legs. Now, this is where I'm going to deviate a little from the instructions. Why am I? No, actually, no, I'm not. I made a liar out of myself. There's another part of the instructions that I have a little bit of an issue with coming up, but we're going to get to that in just a second. What you want to do is close up these panels again. Make sure that they snap back into place. You're basically got to bring the feet over those blue sections, and again, nice tight. Make sure everything stays pegged together. This back section really doesn't peg as tightly on mine as I would want it to, but it is what it is. Now what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and pull the arms out. And I had wanted to do this before I folded the leg panels over, but you really can't. And the reason I wanted to do that is because of this next step. The armpit joints, where the arms were basically slid into, are now going to unpeg and rotate up and over. And basically, as you do that, you're going to push the foot into it. There's a tab on the heel of the foot that's going to fit into a slot on those armpit joints. And there you go. And that comes together quite nicely, keeping everything together. And now finally, oh, the seat's still up. All right, looking good. We're just going to bring the arms back. They peg together in two locations, and then slide it over the front, the tab on the front. Get everything in. There you go. Do it again on this side. Again, there's a tab here in the back, tab in the middle, and then finally the slot at the front. And you can just make sure it's all pegged together. Make sure that's all lined up. And give it a little bit of the transformer squeeze. You can look here on the bottom. Make sure those tab sections are in, secure. And there you go. You got Blurr in its vehicle mode. And making sure the back section's all tight. There is a little gappage right here in the middle. But again, this is really just a very futuristic looking vehicle, like a hover car. There's no wheels. So it kind of works out. Now, for the weapon storage, we kind of talked about this. You can come in underneath. There's a tab that will peg into the slot on the back of the gun. And now for this hand welding tool, there's two slots here, two tabs that will just go over the stock of the rifle. Just make sure you have the little welding part facing back. And yes, that does extend the silhouette of the vehicle a little bit, but it's not that bad. Also, you know, personally with me, that welding tool is going back into the packaging just because I'm not really going to use it. So I'll just be storing it with the gun attached. Other than that, Blurr is really fantastic in its vehicle mode. I think this is a better vehicle mode, but by slightly, than the Titan's Return, Takara Legends Headmasters version. Transformation is different enough that we do have some, you know, it's worth getting this just because I think it's closer to the animation model. You know, you have that little, actually, if you remember on the Titan's Return version, you did have the fin coming out of the legs like this, and the transformation of the legs is a little bit somewhat similar, so you do have that. But other than that, we'll pause, and I'll be back with my final thoughts. Okay, Blurr was one of these figures that I was excited about, but I was also a little concerned about. Obviously, like many of you, I saw in the promo pictures those large arm pylons. And as you can see, I do have it posed with the wrist rotated so the arms don't, those pylons don't peg in securely. Trying to recreate the old sniper pose there. The background, as always, is part of the Transformers the movie. This is the Battle of Autobot City. I think it's absolutely wonderful and kind of cool. Again, as I've been saying all along, I really wish there was some way to connect them, like get a little bit of a mosaic of the Transformers the movie. While I won't say that this is the home run of Wave 1, I think that belongs to Jazz in terms of the deluxes. The figure's definitely worth a pickup, especially if you're a fan of the 86 movie. I got this figure from the commanderstore.com. They're out of Champlain, New York. I think they do have a brick-and-mortar location. So definitely go and check them out if you're in the area. Or shop with them online at cmdrstore.com. Or look for their listings on eBay, but I recommend going to the website. A little bit cheaper that way. So, if you like this review, please consider liking, commenting, and subscribing. As always, I appreciate the views, but the liking, commenting, and subscribing sends communications to YouTube on the spectrum that they understand of algorithms that perhaps my channel is one that should be supported and exalted. If you really want to help support the channel, I do have a link to my Patreon down below. There's also a card here in the corner. It's www.patreon.com/ChuckDog1999. All I ask is $1 a month, $12 a year. No thrills, no tears, no special rewards. All you're doing is helping me help you bring figures like Blurr to you, as well as keeping the general infrastructure of this channel going. Sometimes I do need to update things, light boxes and, you know, cables and stuff like that. And all the little bit helps. As always, though, as I say, if you really can't swing $12 a year, watching my videos is the best show of support. With that said, this is your old pal Chuck for Blurr, and we will see you next time.